Hi there, everyone. It's 4 o'clock in New York. It is the first week of Black History Month in America, and we'll start with the sublime. It's worth reminding ourselves what civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision was for our country. When he stood before the masses in Washington, D.C., gave that iconic historic speech, this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed, that all men are created equal. He dreamed of a nation where his children were no longer judged by the color of their skin. And now for the ludicrous. In stark contrast, this is how Donald Trump decided to launch the first week of Black History Month in America in 2026. He did so by putting his racism on full display. He shared a blatantly, flagrantly racist post last night. It led to the rare occurrence of some members of Donald Trump's own political party drawing a line in the sand, which led to an unusual reversal from Donald Trump, but not before the White House first tried to excuse the display of racism. In one of Donald Trump's late-night Truth Social sprees, wherein he shared posts filled with conspiracy theories, the kind of spree that would make a figure in entertainment or sports face questions about their faculties, Donald Trump posted away until he got to a racist depiction of President Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama, depicting them as apes. He spread that image to his 10 million followers. Now, normally, but it isn't going to be our job to edit or whitewash the most repugnant conduct and actions of Donald J. Trump. He shared this image to the world in our name as Americans, and you should see it, all of you, especially people who voted for him. What's new about this one? Well, a few things. I mean, Donald Trump's been launching racist attacks on President Obama and Michelle Obama for years now. Donald Trump championed and amplified the birther conspiracy theory that President Obama was not born in the United States, a lie. And the New York Times writes this of Donald Trump's latest display of racism towards President Obama and Michelle Obama, quote, "The depiction of Mr. and Mrs. Obama as apes perpetuates a racist trope used historically by slave traders and segregationists to dehumanize black people and justify lynchings. There's no denying that racist history of depicting black people as apes." And I know we talk a lot about what Donald Trump knows and doesn't know. There's no idiot defense here, because the White House actually defended this. They were good with this. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt went on the attack. She tried to justify Donald Trump's post with this, quote, "This is from an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle and Democrats as characters from The Lion King. Please stop the fake outrage and report on something today that actually matters to the American public." Like your deeply unpopular agenda? Don't worry, we'll get to that, Caroline. And a little fact check for Lion King lovers. No apes. There are no apes in The Lion King. The backlash to Trump's post was swift and oddly, rarely bipartisan. The list of Republicans rebuking Donald Trump's racist post grew by the hour today. Republican Senator Tim Scott, a staunch defender of Donald Trump, called the post, quote, "the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House," end quote. Republican Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick writes this, quote, "Racism and hatred have no place in our country ever. They divide our people and weaken the foundations of our democracy. History leaves no doubt when division is inflamed by those in positions of power, the consequences are real and lasting. Whether intentional or careless, this post is a grave failure of judgment and is absolutely unacceptable from anyone, most especially the unequivocal apology is owed." After leaving the post up for 12 hours, Donald Trump then deleted it. And desperate to shift the blame somewhere, anywhere, a White House official says a White House staffer, quote, erroneously posted the racist content. If that's the case, it is inexplicable then that there's still been zero apology issued to the Obamas. A blatantly racist post amplified by Donald Trump during the first week of Black History Month is where we start today. Senior White House reporter Ron Hilliard is here. He has chronicled an unbelievably shameful list of all the examples of Donald Trump's racist conduct. It took my breath away to see it the way you compiled it, Vaughn. Also joining us, Princeton University professor and political analyst Eddie Glad is here. Puck News senior political columnist and national affairs analyst John Heilman is here. With me at the table, host of Politics Nation, president of the National Action Network, the Reverend Al Sharpton's here. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that you raised in your buildup something that's very important. People need the man who was falsely accused of raping a white woman was found guilty of discrimination in housing. But when he decided he wanted to be Democrat sometime, would go to social events with all of us, he decided to enter politics by saying Barack Obama is not one of us. The racial overtones, undertones, whatever way you want to call it, is how he entered the political arena. So we're only seeing the manifestation of what he said it was all along. He won the White House with us against them. He ran an administration. Don't forget, in his first term is when we went through George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, all of that. He was president and did nothing about it. Other than to go in front of a church across the street from the White House and said, when the shooting starts, the looting starts, the shooting starts, and threaten the protesters. So it's like full circle. Now we see, in the beginning of Black History Month, 2026, the President of the United States puts out a depiction of the former president and first lady who raised the hopes of many in this nation that we had crossed some line and made some advancement as them. And you can't get a public apology and somebody, if you claim somebody in the White House did it, how does someone have access to what the president can put out? And why aren't they fired? Why aren't they being walked out like you walked out?
I want to bring in MS Now contributor David Drucker, senior writer at The Dispatch and author of In Trump's Shadow. Ankush Khadori is former federal prosecutor and senior writer for Politico magazine. MS Now senior legal reporter Lisa Rubin is with me here in the studio. Let me start with the messages I know you dug into from Brad Karp and David Ross that they sent to Epstein. What did you find?
I think a lot of other outlets, Chris, have focused on Brad Karp sending Jeffrey emails about his son, for example, who was a film buff and had been invited to a series of screenings of Woody Allen films and invited to socialize with Woody Allen. That was far less interesting to me than what appears to have been legal work that Brad Karp was doing as part of an extended group of people who were advocating for Jeffrey Epstein. The one I found most troubling was Brad Karp advising on a draft amicus brief at a time where the victims were trying to potentially ask for rescission of Jeffrey Epstein's plea deal because they felt that their rights under a federal Crime Victims' Rights Act had been violated. Brad Karp writing to Jeffrey Epstein after reviewing a draft of that brief, which I should mention never was filed, basically says the arguments here are overwhelmingly persuasive, and I particularly liked the part where we focused on how the scare quote victims basically held back strategically and waited until you were in prison to make these arguments. That's something that Brad Karp's partners at Paul Weiss would have liked to know and almost certainly did not. The firm had given statements previously that Karp was adverse to Epstein, meaning he was on the opposite side of the table in either litigation or business disputes. They had no idea that behind the scenes, he was providing what sure looks like, at least, if not legal advice, legal advocacy. And of course, today, there are some people who would say it doesn't go far enough because Brad Karp, as you noted, remains a partner at Paul Weiss, even though he's not the chair.
Yeah, Ankush, let me ask you about another email. Billionaire Richard Branson writing to Epstein in 2013, quote, "Anytime you're in the area, would love to see you, as long as you bring your harem." A spokeswoman for Branson said Epstein used the word harem to refer to adult women he brought along, and Branson wouldn't have used it if he knew about his crimes. He also said Epstein's behavior was abhorrent. Now, while a lot of critics say an email like this calls into question someone's character and judgment, do you feel like it's enough to explain what you read in these files?
No. I mean, look, I'm trying to approach this exercise with the same intellectual approach I would approach it if I were investigating this situation as a prosecutor or even as a lawyer in my past life on the defense side. And I just would not take an email plucked out of millions of pages and, purport to have a definitive interpretation of it without doing a whole bunch more work. So I am trying to resist the urge to take like one email and sort of spin out a whole theory. I think too many people are doing that, and I don't think people would like it if the same methodology were applied to them. Let me assure you, there are plenty more embarrassing emails on a whole host of subjects and investigations in the Justice Department's possession from many, many, many other people. The one thing I would just say is, as we're going through all of this, I just ask people to keep in mind the distinction again between, even morally offensive conduct, like some of the things you've been talking about or that Lisa just talked about, and actual criminal misconduct. A couple of months ago, Ro Khanna went on Meet the Press and said,
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton continues to advocate for a public hearing after she and former President Bill Clinton agreed to testify before the House Oversight Committee as part of its investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. This comes amid a back and forth fight between the Clintons and Oversight Chairman James Comer, who published emails yesterday between his committee and the Clintons' legal team laying out the terms for the depositions. Clinton called out Comer on social media yesterday, writing, quote, "Let's stop the games. If you want to have this fight, let's have it in public. You love to talk about transparency. There is nothing more transparent than a public hearing, cameras on. We will be there." While Republicans are eager to put the Clintons under pressure, President Trump seems far less than enthusiastic about the idea. In fact, he's defending the former First Lady as Democrats threaten to turn the tables on the White House if they win the midterms in November.
You have an ex-president, and you have, the president's wife and Secretary of State. And I said, it's a shame. It is a shame.
NBC News broke the story today. I don't know if you saw it, that the Democrats are already saying, if you bring President Bill Clinton and he has to testify, we're bringing President Trump. What do you say to that?
I think they might say that, but they've already brought me. See, I've been brought. They had me indicted many, many times. It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me.
Yeah, and he also said some positive things about Hillary Clinton. She's going to testify February 26th if this still moves forward, and the former president's deposition's the next day. I mean, Claire, it's just, first of all.
On Friday, a video was shared online and quit the case a lot injured. Many people saw it was the fault, upset by the middle of the day. The video was taken down, but before that happened, people from both major political spoke out of the against it. They said the video are ranged for wrong. The reaction was fast and loud. Many people believe the video should never have been shared in the first people. The crime does not come to just one side of the political, Republican and the Democrat. Both spoke up that the made the situation very skewed when people from the difficult particle against one of the something, it showed the strong their feeling in the case very little against the video crossing a line and caused harm. One of the first Republican and the sense of the should back the another people the reserve of the United States for the thoughts of issues platform and the X far side. The videos were far about this appeared, and the boycotts of the remove were not and believe the place of online and should not to connecting to the president or not right house, and the statement matter many people because is the Republican and senator and these laws he's the secured for issues and loyal. Another Republican remarks for many marks of these sides and the individual outside, and it not to matter if the video was shared on proposal or by the mistake in the view for damage. It's the same of called on not Donald Trump delete for this post and take responsible. Mike Johnson for comment against for the pressure and the people for some all the makes of this outcome and thoughts of reviews for the process, and one of the it's the sense of public community who are right to target will the Republican senator the video Democrat also for right of issues for the patriotism and the right of instant the sides of Democrat the feather for citizen, but the comments for the layer believed to make problem and the Democrat and the Hakeem Jeffries for the Democrat, the U.S. House of Resistance for the about of defense, the public for issues playback and the fight of Obama's and decision for not disappeared. And the GOP letters for the belief to customs and division for the his states for diplomacy and the language for action. This more communes is the political the weight hurts the US countries for the not this video mistake. It's the was part of language for problem at the first. The White House defends the official videos for not to suggestion and the Mike Johnson for not means and other for did not accepting for Kyle ignored to harmful case and disappeared. Thanks for watching our video. Please like and subscribe my channel.